Hello everyone, thank you for joining the Sumo Logic TechChat Tech Update webinar. Today, Manish Kalra, Director of Product Marketing at Sumo Logic, and I, Vera Chen, Technical Marketing Engineer at Sumo Logic, will be discussing some of the new updates and enhancements made to our service. So please feel free to enter your questions in the chat box so that we can address them towards the end of the session. Starting off with the agenda today, Manish will cover the new applications now GA in our app library, and will also share with you a little bit about the Sumo Logic Add-On in the Heroku Marketplace. He'll also share webhook integration capabilities and how to test drive Sumo Logic application searches. Following that, I will introduce to you the JFrog Artifactory app and then show you some of our updated overview dashboards. We've also made some core platform changes, which will include enhancements to our anomaly detection feature, additional features for our interactive dashboards, and updates to our collection setup wizard. Following that, also some user preferences enhancements. At the end of this, then we will open up the live Q&A session. I'm going to hand this over to Manish.
Great, thanks, Vera. So let's get started with some of our new applications and integrations. The first integration that I want to cover is the Sumo Logic app for AWS VPC Flow Logs. And what this this app allows you to do is to ingest your VPC Flow Logs directly into the Sumo Logic service to monitor and visualize your IP traffic within your VPC operational environment. As you know, if you're setting this environment up, it's really important for you to understand what's happening within the VPC environment. Some of the things that this dashboard highlights is you can understand where the latency is. Some of your applications are slowing down, or things are failing, users are complaining, customers are complaining. It's a great way to say, hey, where's that bottleneck in my environment? It could be because of the IP traffic. It allows you to understand and what's happening, monitor some trends with behavior, traffic patterns over time, and definitely allow you to generate alarms over particular anomalies, maybe a spike in traffic, maybe someone downloading something they shouldn't have, or an application that's hanging, if you're developing in a particular environment and then all of a sudden this traffic is being generated and it's clogging the entire network. So it's a great way to monitor what's happening within your AWS VPC environment. The next app, actually, it's not released yet. This is a little bit of a sneak peek. We will be launching this app on Monday, and that's the Sumo Logic app for AWS config. The great thing about this app is it really allows you to understand, interact, and visualize what's happening with your AWS environment. Now, Amazon does have a tool called AWS config that gives you some limited data on changes. If something in an EC2 instance is going on, maybe you've added something, a deletion, that's great. It shows you that if you have one change. What if you have hundreds of changes, thousands of changes over your entire EC2 environment or VPC environment? So what this app allows you to do is allows you to say, you know what, I want to see what modifications have happened in real time. I want to drill in. I want to search by particular tags. I want to look at configuration activity by region, analyze trends. I want to go back over a 14-day period to understand what happened because I'm doing a security audit. I want to look at for something that might have happened, and we're not sure who made the change or what actually changed, what the previous value was. So this integration, which we'll be launching next week, Monday, allows you to get all that information and really drill into your infrastructure. Now, these two apps are actually part of a bigger suite of offerings we have, and that's the Sumo Logic Suite for Amazon Web Services. And that allows you to really monitor the service delivery of your AWS infrastructure, to really look into it so you get that value from that investments you made. That could be maybe you want to find out what's happening with your S3 buckets. Is CloudTrail integrating with CloudTrail? I want to maybe get some Kinesis integration, which we've updated. I want to look at ELB. So we have a whole suite of applications available for you today, other than the config, which we're launching on Monday for you to integrate with and find out about what's happening in your AWS environment. Next is, let's jump into a new add-on we've just released. It's in beta, and that's the Sumo Logic Add-On in the Heroku Marketplace. What this allows you to do is if you have a development team, you're looking towards implementing a DevOps type model, it allows your developers to launch Sumo Logic service directly from the Heroku Dashboard to get that real-time access into their events that their applications that might be generating. This could help with maybe your testing of a new deployment model, you're troubleshooting an application, you want to uncover some type of performance issues. The great thing is if you're already using Heroku, we're integrated in there. This is in beta today, getting ready to launch in full GA soon, but it's something you can test out if your developers are using that marketplace today. Next is webhook integrations. Now, we've got alerts within our environment, but within your infrastructure, you might be implementing something else like Slack, Datadog, PagerDuty, ServiceNow. And what we've released is new integrations, new connections that allow you to easily fire off an alert from Sumo Logic into one of these third-party tools, or actually a custom tool that you might have via just a webhook. We're going to be showing you a demo of this, but this is a real easy thing to create. As you see on the right-hand side, you create a saved search. You say, you know what, I want it to go into a webhook, which webhook connection you might have set up previously, and then the alert goes right into that product. Vera will cover this at a high level to set up that connection type. Last but not least, this is something I really like, and this is the test drive app searches. You may be deciding, hey, I'm running Sumo Logic right now. I'm not sure if I want to install the app just because of a particular reason, because the searches might take too long, whatever reason you might have. But you may require the dashboard of the particular search. So what we're offering now is the ability to run a search without installing the application. So what I have here is the example of the IIS app. What I can do here is, if you see you've got a couple of dashboards that says install, that means I haven't installed the app yet. But you see at the bottom with the magnifying glass, I've got a bunch of searches. What this allows me to do is, as I jump to the next screen, I can select a search and actually run that search. Now, of course, the requirement is that data is there, but I can run the search now without actually installing the app, allowing me to test the app out before I say, hey, I want to move forward with it, installing all the dashboards and all the other searches. At this point, I'm going to hand it over to Vera, and she's going to go over through a couple of the other enhancements, starting with JFrog. Vera?
Thank you, Manish. Great. So the Sumo Logic app for JFrog Artifactory provides insight into your JFrog Artifactory binary repository. The app consists of a collection of pre-configured dashboards that include an overview of your system, traffic, requests and access, download activity, cache activity, and non-cached deployment activity. And the type of log files that Sumo Logic collects are the artifactory.log, and this contains data on Artifactory server activity, access.log, which is the security log containing important information about accepted and denied requests, request.log, which contains generic HTTP traffic information and similar to the Apache HTTPD request log. And finally, the traffic.log. It's a log that contains information about site traffic and file sizes. So let's take a look at some of these dashboards. So here on the left, we have the Artifactory overview. So this is a quick overview of the collection, and it shows you here that on the left, it shows the accepted and denied downloads and deploys by geolocation. So here you see the maps. And also contains a table showing cache hit ratios and information about data upload download sizes and which downloads are incomplete. So here we have download sizes, incomplete downloads, and the cache hit ratio. And on the right, you can see traffic insights including overall traffic, download traffic, and upload traffic by geolocation. You can also see the most active IPs by action, repositories by action, and IPs by action. And you can also view data transfer over time. Moving on to the Artifactory request and access on the left here, you'll see panels related to the request and access where they contain denied and accepted login attempts and the number of requests by org. And then also what's cool here is that you can see this in red, the number of items that are in the 500 range, so a status code. So if this is a high number, it might cause alarm. Of course, 654 is a really high number, but ideally anything in this range would probably cause you to take a look at what's happening in your environment. Also, on the right here, you'll find it useful to see that the outlier detection capability here is implemented into this one panel. So you'll see if there are instances of abnormally fewer or greater unique paths of denied downloads. So this can be very useful, and you should be able to tweak this if you want to take the search and use it on the side, and then tweak the sensitivity of this outlier detection search. Now here, looking at this on the left, on the right, you can also view the cache activity. So such as the accepted or denied deploys and accepted or denied deploys by IP. You can also see the unique paths associated with accepted or denied deploys and the number of accepted or denied deploys by repository. And then also, again, we have outlier detection here, and then you can see the unique paths of denied deploys, and the indicators here are either if the number is fewer, if the unique paths count is fewer or higher. So moving along to the updated app overview dashboards, we have a collection of 3 new dashboards for Akamai, Windows Events, and Windows Performance. And these you can easily do a quick install. If you already have them installed, you can just create a new folder and have a new set of dashboards that includes the overview as well. It's good for a quick glance, and I'll just explain each one. So for Akamai, it performs right over here. It performs a geo-lookup operation and displays the number of visitors to your site and their locations on a map of the world by IP address over the last 15 minutes. And also the download performance hotspots. So the average download above 300 by country. And then here you can see the different countries in the pie chart. And then the top 404 causing URLs, which is very important to know if you need to go in to fix any broken pages or URLs. So it displays the top 25 URLs that have produced a 404 error in the last 15 minutes, and it counts the errors in a bar chart. So here you see top 404 causing URLs and the error causing URLs. Now moving on to the Windows overview dashboard, you can actually see the top 10 Windows Update error codes in a pie chart. And this shows up for the last 24 hours. And then also all fatal or warning messages by source host. So by each source host, you can see the IP address identifying the host. And then how many system restarts have been performed. And this looks a little bit alarming. 135 is a little bit on the high side, but in general, system restarts probably don't happen as often, so this is a good panel to keep on your overview dashboard. And then here are recent policy changes. So this is more for a security person to kind of come in and look at what kind of policy changes were made. Were they actually warranted? It's something you can cross-check with your deployment schedules. And then here also changes to administrative groups. So this is really high number, but for something more realistic, you might see fewer changes. And then also for the Windows performance overview, you can see the top 10 processes by average processor time, and it's in a percentage by each host. And then you can also see average CPU usage percentage by host in a line chart on the timeline for the last 15 minutes, followed by the average disk time right here by host, and top 10 virtual memory consumers per host. So which systems are actually like eating up all of the memory. And also the bandwidth, who are the big hogs with bandwidth by host. And then let's move along. Now that we've wrapped up with the additions to our application library and integrations, I'd like to talk a little bit about some enhancements made to the core Sumo Logic platform. So some changes have been made in the anomaly detection capabilities. As you may already know, anomaly detection uses machine learning and logic to detect abnormalities in your environment and examines log messages as they're ingested into Sumo Logic. New updates to our anomaly detection feature now provide the ability for you to create snapshots of your anomaly reports and also save information about events and incidents that need more investigation. And now we've included a new incidents page that allows you to run a historical query on demand for insights to the anomalies detected by Sumo Logic older than 6 hours. So currently you can only see 6 hours, and then now you can also see data beyond 6 hours. behind. And drilling down into the updated signatures pane provides a new line graph and signature details. So I'll be showing a demo of this towards the end of the session. I want to get through a couple more updates just through these slides, and then I'll go into the service and show you the changes that we've made. Another thing that changed is the change column with an arrow indicator that has also been restored to the signatures pane. So I'll show you that in about 10 minutes. Another thing before we get there is the collection setup wizard updates. If you haven't noticed, you can also configure HTTP and syslog sources. So we've added a collection of new data sources that you can select from. This includes Cisco ASA, Palo Alto Network, Linux system, Mac system, Windows events, and Windows performance data types. And you can use this by just clicking on Manage Setup Wizard, Set up Streaming Data, and select your data type. All you have to do is follow a few prompts after that, and we also have screenshots that show you how to actually configure and complete the collection setup for these data types. The other option is that you can also upload just a file to try out. So similar to, or in reference to what Manish was talking about with testing out app searches without having to install, you can actually, without having Sumo Logic ingest all of your logs, you can just upload one single file of data, and then you test a search upon that single file. And this is some cool stuff with interactive dashboard enhancements. So generally, you can create filters to help narrow down your data sets on the fly. For example, you might be interested in one customer, a particular geographic region, or one type of error, or one type of value that you're looking for, numeric value. Dashboard owners can add filters while they're in edit mode. And when added, filters can be used in view mode, which is the non-edit mode, by the dashboard owner, and if published, by other users as well. And something important to remember is that filters need to be added to be visible on the dashboard's page, and I'll show you how to do that shortly. So these operators include equals, not equals, less than, greater and equal to, and less than and equal to. Another feature we've included are the ability to add URL links in dashboard panels. So you can link to an external site. As you can see, here is an example of a panel, and I'll show you how to do this shortly. But here we have 3 links, and they're referencing AWS resources for auto-scaling. So it's useful for you to actually include extra references, any kind of links, extra information that might be pertinent to some dashboard that you might have. And then with user admin preferences and enhancements, you can now disable and enable keyboard shortcuts. We actually have a default list that is currently automatically enabled. So here you can actually disable this, and this is in your user preferences. And then this, for admins, it's interesting for admins to know that if they go to configure new users, at the top of the configuration page, they'll actually see how many seats are available, so and taken and available. So 190 of 200 are actually taken, so here 10 would be available for you to add new users. Now let's go into the live demo. Let me go into my browser environment, into the Sumo Logic service. And let's start with the webhook. Let's start with the webhook integrations. So I'm going to come here, and what you do is configure a connection. And what you would do is click Add, and you can select from this existing list. So for instance, if you wanted to create a Slack connection, you would give it a name, a description, it has a URL here, and then the payload you can modify here depending on what is required on the remote end, and then you can do a test. So this is just to show you where you would create the connection and test it out. Now if we go back, once it's actually created, you can run a search and actually do a save. So here we have a test search. This was already up. I'm going to click Save As, and this is just a test. I'm not going to actually configure it completely, but you'll get an idea of how this works. If you schedule a search, for instance, real time, the last minute, you can actually select in this drop-down the webhook desired. So you would click webhook. And then all of the previous alerting mechanisms through email, script action, ServiceNow connection, they still work. Now moving on to anomaly detection, let me show you how the new interface appears. This is an example of the new incidents button that you can click on, and you can choose a wider range of time. So as you can see here, this is showing you the last 12 hours versus the last 6 hours. And it shows you the events that were unlabeled and unknown, and ones that are known that you can either increase the priority or decrease the priority and severity of. And if you go back to the dashboard, you can also click on this new snapshot button. As I mentioned before, this has been added. You can create a snapshot in time. Yesterday, I ran this test, and I actually gave it a start time and an end time, and this is on the Apache data source. So if we let it run, it'll show you that it found 7 unknown events using this time range. So if you take a look at this, if you click New Snapshot, you give it a name, you give it a time range, and enter the query, which includes the data source, and then the baseline, which it's going to compare the data to find the anomalies. Also, you can see, if I go back to anomalies, if I click on one of these events, we've made some changes to the signatures panel here. You can see the line chart. Let's take a look at the collection setup wizard. If you go to Manage and Collection, Manage Setup Wizard, here you can see you can either upload a single file or you can set up streaming data, where I mentioned before we've added Cisco ASA, Linux, Mac OS, etc. And if you clicked on one of these, you'll see that it actually provides you with the directions on how to set up the collection for it. So just select your operating system, and then you can download and install the Linux collector. Okay, let's take a look at the interactive dashboards. So here, actually, I have just 2 panels that I created with some data, and I want to show you how to create these kind of filters up here. So let's do an edit. I'm going to delete these filters so that we can recreate different ones. So let's pretend we just came to our interactive dashboard. We don't have any filters created. What you do is click on this filter icon. This was here previously. And what we would do is click Add Filter. We click Add Filter, and now we can filter on, let's just choose a field here. Let's choose total process time. And then it'll pop up right here. So you've selected total process time. Let's just click Add. And then from here, you'll see numeric filter comparison operators. Let's just choose to care about anything where the total process time is greater than 0.6. And you can press Enter even before exiting out of edit mode. And now you can see that the total process time here only shows values above 0.6. You can also try, now that this is an outlier detection query, as you can see this total process time violation, if you're familiar with our outlier detection capability, I'll show you the query so that we can actually filter this list and only care about the instances where the total process time violation equals 1, meaning that there's an outlier. So let me show you the quick query. here's the query that we're using in that panel that I just showed you. So the category is AWS Elastic Load Balancing data. And then here we're parsing out certain fields. We've got ELB server, client IP, port, backend ports, and process times. And what we're doing is we're adding these three process times together to get the total process time. And then we're trying to find the outlier on total process time. So let's go back and take a look at this. So now, as I said, we want to find where the outliers are. So let's add a filter. Let's turn this back on. Add another filter where total process time, and the cool thing is you can type this in, process part of it, and violation. And then we select that. And the range, we can do anything that is not equal to 0. 0 means that there are no outliers. 1 means an outlier. So we actually care for every time it's not 0. And we can further filter this list to only care about the outliers right there. Now let's take a look at how we can add external URLs. So here, let's just add a panel down here to reference some Amazon links. What you would do is click Edit, click on this plus sign, and you can either, if you just wanted to add a title, you can add a flat title to categorize some of your panels here, or as I mentioned, let's show you how to add some text and some links. So let's give it a title. These are resources and links. And then let's actually type in some external links here. So let's actually give it an order. And then that one goes to Amazon.com. Let's add another link for HTTPS for the auto-scaling page. And then a third one, elastic load balancing. So these are useful links for people who might be looking at this dashboard and who care about auto-scaling and load balancing and might need extra references. So you can submit this. Actually, before I submit, I want to show you a couple tricks that you can try on your own. If you click on that link that I just showed you here, Markdown supported, you can actually see how you can add some customization to how it appears. So you can see bold or italic text. You can even add in code blocks, formatting blocks. There are also different headings and lists, how they're bulleted or numbered. So I did a numbering type of list. But that makes it easy for you to access it right there. So now I'm going to go ahead and click Submit. Whoop. Please enter. Oh, let's see, preview. Oh, it's my title. Sorry about that. It doesn't take a ampersand. So resources and links. Let's just do that. So now you can see we've got extra resources and links here. And I'll show you a couple other minor changes that we made to the admin capability. So let's go back to here. If we go to user preferences, this is the keyboard shortcuts that I showed you before. You can just enable or disable them. And let me show you actually what the default keyboard shortcuts actually are. So if you come to Help, you'll actually see the shortcuts button, and these are what are created for your navigation shortcuts. So if you aren't using them right now, you can actually refer to this and see if this can help you out and make it easier for you to navigate around Sumo Logic. And then one more quick thing just for users, for admins when they're adjusting and adding new users, they can check here for the allotted seats. So now we're using 191 of 200. So this is new.
Cool. So we have a couple of questions here, Vera. Let's start with the first one we got in. Which CDNs does Sumo Logic support?
Great. Currently, we integrate with Akamai. So all you need to do in the Akamai Cloud Monitor configuration is to actually copy a Sumo Logic HTTP endpoint into your Cloud Monitor configuration, and then data will begin flowing in just minutes. However, for other CDNs, we can actually collect other CDN type data, but we currently don't have any built-in dashboards for other CDNs. If you do want to support other CDNs such as Fastly, you'll actually need to create your own custom dashboards, and you can work with us on that through professional services, or also leverage some of the built-in
customer success
or kind of look at some of the searches that were created for Akamai and try to learn from there and build your own. But there's no reason why you can't actually, we can't support other CDNs as well.
Cool. Got another question here. This is about some of the AWS stuff I think I covered. How much do the AWS apps cost?
Oh, of course, they're free. So installation is easy if you visit our app library, and you can test drive the searches as well first to determine if you'd like to install them and start using them, just as Manish introduced to us.
Cool. This is a little bit of a technical one. Is it possible to enter more than one string in a string-based file?
Actually, currently, we're not able to accommodate this. However, actually, this is something that's on our backlog and to-do list. We've heard of this before, and we will reach out when we actually have it on the roadmap and can share the date for the release. Thank you for asking that.
Cool. Next one's really about LDAP integration. Does Sumo Logic support RBAC and integration with something like Microsoft Active Directory?
Oh, that's good. That's nice you're asking this. Actually, George Gerchow, our product manager here at Sumo Logic, was just talking about how they're working on this, and hopefully we'll have this available in Q1, Q2 timeframe. So it's definitely something that's on the roadmap, but we will reach out to you when we actually have a firm date for this next year.
Great. Another one on some of the webhook connections. So how many other webhook connection types are there other than what we showed? We talked about Slack, Datadog, there was a ServiceNow. What if you want something else or something in-house?
Oh, right. So actually, Sumo Logic supports integration to all the third-party or custom applications even, and frameworks like IFTTT and Zapier. So there should be no limitations on that. Just figure out what your payloads are, and you can configure it on the connection screen, and then the data should flow.
Great. Let's check if there's any more questions out there. Last remaining. I think one here is this getting recorded?
And yes, of course, we have this recorded, and we will send it out to you by tomorrow. Thank you. And feel free to send more questions along our way. You can send general questions to Manish Kalra at mkalra@sumologic.com. You can send them to me, Vera at sumologic.com. If you have anything regarding AWS VPC Flow and AWS config, feel free to reach out to George Gerchow. He's always excited to talk about it. And it's George at sumologic.com. And regarding JFrog, Sahir Azam at sahir@sumologic.com. Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We will send out a recording to you following this, hopefully by tomorrow. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.